So here's how to take your drawing from your sketchbook and actually get it onto your metal. So you see I've taken it off my sketchbook. I have cut the ruffly edge off the top, and your metal is bigger on the long side than your actual foil. I have a little extra space down here because you notice I kind of messed up and I don't have room for my bear's chin. So to get these to stay into place, what you can begin with is actually trimming off the extra piece if you'd like. So you already know that this foil cuts with scissors. These aren't fancy special scissors. These are regular old scissors, and I'm going to go ahead and cut the extra strip off to make it easier. So one of the tips that we learned is instead of trying to find tape, just grab these corners and fold them over like a little paper clip to hold your paper in place on top of your metal foil so that you can start tracing. So you need your wooden stylus, or in a pinch you can use a ballpoint pen, or even a regular wooden pencil if the lead isn't incredibly sharp. But I have my stylus because I didn't lose it. This works better if it's on something soft, so I have a folder full of papers and grading. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and just start tracing the outline of every major design on my project. You'll notice that I do press hard. You can see my hand is kind of straining because I want to make an indent in the foil underneath the paper. It's not about like just tracing for the sake of tracing. It's about pressing into the foil. And if I'm not sure if I got a line or not, since I'm not leaving a mark on the front, I can flip it to the back. And there you can see the top outline of the outside of the glasses. I need to keep working. So I believe I'm done tracing. What I didn't finish is the lines for the hairs. I definitely need that texture, but I can go back to that when I'm sculpting later. I don't need to trace it necessarily because there's nothing that has to be perfect about the way those fur lines are shaped. So I can take my paper off now. And what I think should come next is cutting this thing out of the rectangle. So it is not intended to stay forever as a rectangular mask. It needs to be shaped like a polar bear. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my scissors and solve that issue real quick. All right, so my mask has been traced and then cut out of the big rectangle, but it is not done. I don't know how many times I am going to scream and shout that. These lines are not sculpting. They're just lines. So to sculpt this thing, I need to begin to think about what I want to bump up entire areas and what I want to push down entire areas. So an easy place for me to start is like the nose. Does your nose stick off of your face or indent into your face? Off. So to make this space bump up, I turn it to the back. Remember, you sculpt on something soft. So I have this folder full of papers here, and I actually like to flip to this end. I don't know why. It's just my thing. And I continually push at this space that I want to stick up. So you're coloring in an entire area, kind of. You are not just drawing lines again. So I said I was going to emphasize it 1,000 times because it's my number one pet peeve with this project. People think that sculpting is drawing a line. It's not. If I continually go over the same space, you see that it's going to continually push out further and further and further away. And doing so will continue to sculpt and make 3D forms in my metal mask. Now, if I flip it back to the front, you can see that the nose of my bear sticks out. Now, what do nostrils do, right? Nostril holes go in. They're holes, they're openings. So to add contrast, I can do the same thing. I can make the nose of my bear indent in, and that'll make where I made the or the nostrils, excuse me, indent in, and that'll make the other part that I was pressing to make it go out pop out even more. And I also want to refine my edges. So sometimes I like to use the pointy part of my stylus, and sometimes I like to use the dull end because I can make more stuff happen. But I have to keep working at it. This is not a one and done sort of thing. The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. So as I continue to refine this nose, it's starting to look more and more 3D and interesting. So notice how far that sticks off the metal and how interesting that looks compared to outlines. It's not what I want. So then I'm looking at this nose or this mouth area. I'm going to think the same thing. The mouth part of my bear is going to be an indent in. So in my sketch, probably should have finished this line. Looks like I missed one. This part is going to bump in. So same thing. I always like to flip to that blunt end, and I'm going to continue to sculpt and make that part of my bear's mouth go in. Every time I go over it, I stretch the metal a little bit more. So it's not just doing something once. It's doing it over and over and over again to make that stretch, because it only stretches so much at once. Now, I want his snout overall to stick out. So I flip to the back and I start pressing and pushing to make that area stick out. So this is something that's going to take time and effort. That's not bad. As I said, sometimes the things that you spend the longest on come out the best. The things that you are quick and sloppy with tend to look quick and sloppy. I'll keep working at this until my entire metal foil mask is 3D and every single square inch of it has been sculpted by this tool. So I need to have touched all of this with my wooden stylus in order to count everything as sculpted. Because this and all of this is what I want to see.